Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs. You got Mark and Chris, and today we have a really fun subject. We're going to be talking about tank battles. And so Chris, for someone who's never heard of this before, what exactly is tank battles and where did it start up here at Atlanta Brick Co.?
Well, tank battles is just what we call it, for one. I think when I went to Google it a couple years ago, there's other tank battles out there.
I'm sure.
With Lego, and some of them have tried to take it pretty far and sell instructions and stuff like that. So if we ever did want to commercialize it, which I don't think we do, we just want to play it and have fun.
Yeah.
We would have to call it something else.
Yeah, we would have to have a non-copyrighted name, basically, right?
So we call it tank battles because that's basically what it is. We first started playing it at a Lego club that we did, a summer camp. And the kids were, I think actually Landon was there. One of our teenage employees was in elementary school at the time, because this was like 6 years ago. And we had to come up with things to do at the club. And it's like, well, what elementary schooler doesn't like shooting things and knocking them down, right? So it started out, we did an entire week of tank battles, and we're just making up the rules as we go. And then we had so much fun. I think your brother Steven might have been there.
Yep.
John Snyder was there, and of course Landon was there as one of the campers.
Exactly.
And Landon is like 16 now.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we actually have an old picture we might be able to throw up on the screen here for you, but we'll see.
We'll ask Landon about that first, and John, because John.
We can blur their faces out.
John looks like you might be in elementary school at the time. So, I had actually had the idea for tank battles well before we opened the store or before that summer camp. In fact, I was planning on turning it into a Kickstarter campaign, but back when I first got into Lego.
Yeah.
Because my son and I were playing what's called Hasbro Tactics, and it's this shooting game where you have these game pieces, and if you're just listening in on the podcast, these are cool action figures that Hasbro made. You've got Star Wars, Marvel superheroes, and Transformers.
You got Venom and Jango Fett, Transformers, and they're different sizes too.
And this was actually a huge line. They made hundreds of different game pieces. So we've got a Magna Guard from Star Wars. We've got Optimus Prime. I don't know his name.
He's Omega Sentinel.
Omega Sentinel. Of course, he's a lot bigger than the others. There's Sky Blast. And what you do, the whole concept of the game is I've got all these little missile shooters, and each character has like a unique missile shooter. And so I know that the AT-RT here, I'm pretty sure it takes the purple ones. So this one actually shoots a whole bunch of them. And as you'll notice on these, they have points. So this is worth 70 points.
Gotcha.
But he gets 4 shots. But not all the shots are as strong as other cannons.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do here is knock down... I'm going to try to knock down Jango Fett with that. It's got a dial on the back, and I missed... Hit him, but didn't knock him down. And missed again. All right. So I hit him a couple times, moved him around, but he never actually fell down. And you'll notice some of these bases are bigger than others.
Yeah.
See that? So the Magna Guard falls down easier, but he's only worth 10 points.
Yeah.
Whereas Jango Fett has got a bigger base, which is why he didn't fall down, and he's worth 30 points.
Wow.
So if I'm playing this game, I can put 3 Magna Guards on my table or on my team, and against only 1 Jango Fett. So I really like this because it mixed Marvel, Star Wars, and Transformers.
Those are some great properties if you think about it. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. And, while we're talking about this, I mean, they're talking about a new collaboration between Hasbro and Lego with that Optimus Prime set. So... Look out.
Fingers crossed for that one, yes.
So beyond shooting, there's also the spring spring action. So there's Ghost Rider.
So they could kind of swing or slap at the other figures too. So
the Magna Guards slapped at him to try to knock him down. There's Master Yoda. And we had to put a little duct tape on the end because we broke the lightsaber. Some other guys, there's Commander Gree, Greedo, Plo Koon. And Plo Koon was really cool because he had a clear force blast. So his shooter was like this big force blast.
Like a special size shot, right?
Yeah. And I had it this morning, but I must not have brought it with me. And then Wookiee Commando. But there's so I've been collecting these for a long time, and I've always gotten them used. You said you've seen these before.
Yes, we actually, when we get stuff into the store, it's often sorted in with like Mega Blocks and other things, and these toys were frequently inside the bins with Lego pieces.
Yeah.
So I recognize this style of action figure and this kind of game piece from before.
So Mark sees these, I see these all the time. So I was picking them up at yard sales, or I started buying some on eBay, and we have maybe 1,000 of them.
So you got a big collection of these at home, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like when you want to play a battle, we don't just play two figures on two figures.
Yeah, you have thousands of points for your army.
We have an army against an army. And so that's where tank battles stem from. And I was into Lego at the time, too, playing with my son. And I was like, hey, these Technic cannons and these Technic arrows work the same way. And now I won't shoot the computer.
Don't shoot the computer screen.
It's a new computer. Yeah. But they work the same way, and they're just as strong. Spring-loaded cannons.
Yep.
And we can make our own Lego game out of this. It's genius.
Exactly.
And so at the time, I went on Bricklink, and this is 8 to 10 years ago. I went on Bricklink, and I bought thousands and thousands of arrows and thousands of cannons. And I was just hoarding them with the intention of someday making a game out of it.
Yeah. Like on a Kickstarter kind of platform, right?
Exactly, yeah. Come up with instructions, sell the instructions, sell kits, all that. And so after it was such a big hit at our summer camp, I was like, oh, well, this is something we still want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, and we just haven't had time. But we've been playing the game a lot.
That is true.
And the rules have evolved.
Yes.
But how long have we been playing? We've been playing this for 6 years.
As long as Steven and I have been shopping at the store, we've been playing this. I mean, even before I worked here, I think I was playing tank battles. Yeah. So, which is 6, 7 years ago. As long as we've been open, basically. So, yeah.
So another game that you and I both like to play is Risk.
For sure.
We want this game to be simple. That's the beauty of this. It's tactics is so simple. You shoot a guy, you try to knock him down, and but if you want more rules and more strategy, there's all this stuff on these guys that you can play by more strict rules or more rules. And so Tank Battles is based on the simpleness of just basically shooting something and knocking it down.
Yeah.
But we have added some better rules over the years, and they're easy.
Yeah.
Especially the Risk dice rules, if you want to.
All right, so here we have the dice tower. Let's see if we can give people a good view of that. You got the dice in the lower area down there. You've got the area up here, and you can just tip that and they fall through. Let's give an example for people here.
You know how sloppy dice can get?
Oh, yeah, they fly everywhere once you drop them in there.
We were setting up at DragonCon one year, and they had these really nice dice towers made out of wood.
Probably for Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. So.
And I was like, hey, we can make these dice towers out of Legos. So we made them, but they turned out to be so expensive.
Yeah, well, it's a ton of parts to make these. So they're not really cost effective for sets. So that kind of shot down this plan, but we still have this one. I think we have other ones built too for the purposes of tank battles. So.
Yeah, and it works great for tank battles. So the way Risk, if you're unfamiliar with Risk rules, the attacker could attack with 10 troops, and the defender could defend with 20 troops, 10, however many he has.
However many on that spot, right? Yeah.
The attacker chooses the battle, and he gets 3 dice, no more than 3. If he has 2 guys, he only has 2 dice. If he has 1 guy, 1 dice.
Yeah,
all right. So. But if he has 10 guys, he still only gets 3 dice. All right. As the defender, I only get 2 dice no matter what. So I get up to 2 dice.
So you're only deploying 2 your defenders at once.
Yeah.
And the attacker's only sending in 3 guys at once. It's the way that risk figures work. So
yeah. And the attacker has the advantage because they've got an extra dice roll. The defender gets an advantage because tie goes to the defender.
That's correct, yeah.
So it works really well for games of chance.
Yeah.
What I like about it is there's been times where I attacked with 10 guys against 2 and I lost.
Yeah.
All 10 guys.
It's so frustrating to get those bad dice rolls, but it makes it a lot more entertaining if it's a lot more chance in it. So.
I mean, because that could happen in real life. I mean, you see it on the Avengers movies all the time.
Exactly.
One guy knocks out 20, right?
Sometimes heroic moments happen, right?
Yeah. So when you do roll the dice, it's the 2 highest rolls. So, Mark, go ahead and roll.
Yep. So if I was the attacker, I would go first with my 3 die. And I got 2 6s and a 5, so that you have to roll 2 6s to tie and win.
Yeah, so I need 2 6s in order to win. And if I win, his two of his guys are off the board.
Yeah. Or vice versa.
And Mark can choose which 2 of the attackers go off the board. I got a 1 and a 2. So Mark destroyed me, and I have to take 2 of my guys off the board.
In this theoretical battle situation. And this would be for the infantry, not for the tanks, right?
Yeah.
So.
And we keep rolling until one of the sides are off the board, or Mark decides to call off the attack.
Exactly. Now this game element is like pretty much straight from Risk, but it's being applied in a specific squad of troops attacking another squad of troops on the field of battle for tank battles.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and where we see this most often are on turrets.
Yeah.
So we're trying to take a neutral turret.
All right, go ahead and grab that turret there, Chris, and we can talk about those.
I guess the first thing you want to do is set up your battlefield.
Yes.
And determine what your battlefield's going to look like. At the store, we try to get as big of a battlefield as we can. So the last couple times we've played, we've covered our pick-a-brick table with solid boards, and we've had a 16-foot by 4-foot table. Now, that's a lot bigger than a normal household is going to have.
Exactly.
So what you could do is take, your average 6-foot dining room table, 8-foot, put a leaf in it if you can, because what we've found, the bigger the space, the bigger your army, the more fun you can have.
Exactly.
Bigger is better.
It's an event, right?
Yeah, in my opinion. So set up your battlefield. These are called neutral turrets, and we haven't always used neutral turrets.
Most of the time, but not all the time. Yeah.
And what's funny is this turret came from that camp 6 years ago. Did you know that?
I think I knew that this was old, but I didn't know it was from that specific interaction.
Can you guess what this was?
That looks like the makings of a lightsaber.
Yeah,
so.
It was a lightsaber. And that was one of the things the kids made at summer camp, is that whole week they worked on lightsabers.
That's pretty fun.
Now, we did modify this a little bit. I think this was made by Steven, your brother.
That makes sense. It looks pretty nice for a quick build at a summer camp.
And
so
when I say he made it, he helped a kid make it.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. And the kid was allowed to bring home one thing that week that he made, and he didn't want to bring home the lightsaber.
He could have had a build from a Lego master. He didn't really know it. So,
so we didn't want to throw it away, so we used it for tank battles.
There you go.
All right, so we just put a 16 by 16 plate on top. And during the movement phase, you can move your troops to stand on top of the turret, and then once they do, you control that turret. Now, usually it would have a turntable under it, but when I took it off the thing,
here's the turntable for you.
Okay, here it is.
So you could aim that cannon up there, and the reason you'd be able to aim and shoot that cannon on your turn would be because you have your troops stationed on that turret. They have occupied it, and they're using it almost like an artillery piece, right?
Exactly, yeah. So this is where the risk element would come from. To it. So if my troops are occupying this turret, I can now shoot this turret.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my guys, using the risk dice, could then use the risk dice attack in order to eliminate your troops, or you could defend and eliminate some of my troops trying to take over your tower.
So this is where the skirmishes take place, is quite often is going to be on your turrets.
But they could occur on the ground as well if they were just fighting in the open area for some reason. So
Another way to get troops off of a turret is to shoot them off.
Yeah, literally knock them right off. And
that's-
before we get to shooting troops off, let's talk about the troops themselves. Let's break out your army, and I think we have Steven's army here too.
So your
Set these aside.
troops need to be on some type of stand to hold them up. Okay, and make them stand up. We absolutely love using dimension stands. Dimension stands weren't really popular at the time. So we were getting them in bulk, and it's just so easy because they're round, which means that from all sides the minifigure can fall down.
We used to use minifigure stands, but the corners actually helped them stand up, right? Because they were square shaped.
Not only did that happen, but also the bottom has the tubes on it, so it would stick to the studs that we were playing on.
It's got some grip, right?
Yeah, and you don't want any. You don't want your minifigure sticking to the table. He's got to be easy to knock down, and that's in our rules. Is any of the game piece, the troops need to be easy to knock down from all sides.
Yeah, it needs to be possible to knock him over. He can't have extra arms or braces or anything.
Now, some minifigures that Steven has made or you have made are like robotic ones.
Yep.
And cyborgs, and they look awesome, but it doesn't look like you brought any. Huh?
No, these are actually Steven's troops. They're just some customized minifigures. They look sort of like sort of futuristic military looking, and they match his tanks, which we'll bring out in a second.
Yeah.
But I've done Exoforce robots. I've done UFO aliens. And then other like aliens with rubber heads that you can find, and so you have some cool Knights of the Round Table guys over there too, and St. Patrick here, who we're talking about.
Yeah, so I've gone through quite a few different armies. My first one was a made-up alien race using werewolf heads, and I called them the Valerian, I think, and built some tanks to go with them. And I actually made that up back at my house when I was playing with my son and just battling.
Yeah, just having fun.
Yeah, just having fun. That was before I opened the store, so I kind of made that up a while ago. And then I went to Cobra.
Oh, I think you had Mandalorians too. Was that before or after Cobra?
That was after.
Okay, so
the Cobra was the Creo minifigures, and I kind of did it to spite all these guys that are like Lego purists, which I am too. Trust me, I don't like I would never mix Lego and Creo.
Yeah, not without a pure intention of just having them as a tank battle army, right?
Yeah, but I love G.I. Joe. So I thought I could do two things: have a cool G.I. Joe army, and at the same time, like, make these guys mad by having Creo figures on the table. And they did. They didn't like it. It
infuriated us, and we had Ben and Steven with us, too, and it just drove us nuts, for sure. So
what's worse is I had Mark build my tank for me. I don't think he knew it at the time. I was like, hey, Mark, you know what would look really cool is a G.I. Joe his tank. And, okay, I'll build one. And then I took his turret off, and I put my shooting turret on.
It looked great, too. I don't think we have any pictures of those. But
I still have it.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah, you made two, and I still have both of them. So, then my army went to a Mandalorian army, and this was 4 years ago, probably.
It was a while ago, right?
Yeah, it was my own. I had a backstory. I was reading Revan, the book Revan, and I was into the Mandalorians at the time because it's very Mandalorian based. In fact, Darth Revan's mask is a Mandalorian mask.
Ooh, I didn't even really know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, you'll realize it next time you look at him.
Yeah.
And then, so I had this big backstory behind my Mandalorian army. And then I went to King Arthur and the Round Table because I was reading a book about King Arthur. Yeah. And whatever I read, I'm into right now.
And it's like you're taking inspiration, and suddenly you're inspired to make an army based off of the media that you're going through right now. So it's like that's I think a common trend with tank battles is that, like, we'll have phases of, like, now I want to build this, now I want to build that, and because you could just get some minifigures, build a vehicle, it's so easy and so much fun that it's really cool to see this different variety, even from a single individual playing. So.
And there's my Sir Lancelot there. I actually ordered on eBay decals, stickers, for each of the Knights of the Round Table's house coat of arms. And so this was Lancelot's coat of arms, and then the book I was reading tied King Arthur and his knights to the Romans, descendants of the Romans, so that's why Sir Lancelot has that helmet. He actually had that helmet in the book.
That's cool.
There's Sir Gawain, and then St. Patrick. I don't know where he came from, but I actually had him with my Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It's like St. Patrick was like the holy war. He was fighting the villainous other characters, and he always was a tough figure to knock down for some reason. Just like kind of ironic that the saint figure was like indestructible. So
he was the divine figure, and he's got the serpent shield from Slytherin from Harry Potter, and he's got a chrome sword, and he's just totally awesome with him. That's the Knights Kingdom 3 armor that he's got on. And Gandalf's Dimension Stand, because it has runes on it.
Yep.
So he's kind of a big target when he's out on that. Everybody wants to knock him down.
I know my brother Steven particularly loathed that one. There's all this history once you play for a couple years. And we didn't play all the time, but every couple months we'd have a game, right?
Yeah.
So it was pretty fun. And so you have these, you still have a lot of your original tanks here too, Chris. You want to break those out? And I'll show Steven's tanks here too.
Yeah. While I'm on mine, this is one of my original Valerian tanks, the werewolves, and I think I've got the werewolf drivers in there too.
The original drivers are still in there. That's awesome.
But I actually use this tank with all my armies. I mean, it worked pretty well for the Mandalorian army, but I actually use it with King Arthur and his knights too, because it just works so well.
Yep.
It's got this awesome
lifting crane arm with the
telescoping Technic crane arm, and then I can independently move each of these with ball joints, which I think are bionicle. And I hit with it. I score very well with this thing.
Yeah.
I would consider this freehand as opposed to Steven's tanks.
Yeah, this one is different because it's got a pneumatic piece in there, which makes it very firm but still flexible, and that means he's got a very accurate shot, but he's only got one, and he's kind of limited at the angle in which you can shoot, unlike your more flexible one. However, it is super accurate. Steven's made some very long shots with this, so it's pretty cool. And
Steven has made the best shots with them in the game.
I think that's fair to say, even when I've been against him. But I think Steven also is like a very expert vehicle builder, and these have some really cool, kind of modern-looking appearance to them. Even though he's more of a landscape or creature builder, these are still really fun, and they match his troops really cool too. So, and this one has a detail piece on the front to kind of obscure the guns for aesthetics. But you remove that piece, and there's the visible guns as well.
Does that one have the pneumatic piece on it?
I don't think it's pneumatics. I think it's similar to yours there, Chris. It's got the little lift arm.
Very neat. Yeah, that's great. So Steven, his pneumatic piece is from that Star Wars ship.
I have one right here, actually. There we go.
Cool. All right.
And so it's a pretty expensive piece. I think a while ago it was $2. It's probably more like $4 or $5 now.
Yeah.
But it's very like high pressure in there, and so it's only can be pushed in and out slowly, which makes it very interesting. It's almost like a suspension piece.
So these actually have kick to them, like a real gun, and it messes up your aim.
Yeah.
So me shooting this freehand, there's kick involved, and
it moves.
I'm trying to stabilize it with my finger. However, with that pneumatic piece that Steven has in there, that eliminates that kick.
Yeah, it just shoots, and then he can correct and then shoot again, which is more like an artillery piece, very accurate.
And Steven was just telling me out there that he actually bought 20 of these Technic cannons and tested each one out at a target to find out which one was the most accurate.
Yep.
And that's the one he used in his cannon. Now, let me tell you, we were at our old building, so this must have been 4 or 5 years ago. And it was you and Steven versus me and I want to say, Will Meyer or Ed or my brother Jimbo or my son Vogan. But I can't remember who the other player was, and it could have been more. We had skyscrapers set up.
Yeah, it was a
cool scene. Huge table, and it was awesome. And it was at least 8 feet long, the table, the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Steven's got his pneumatic tank, one-shot wonder, and we're winning. Steven has one shot left, and if he makes the shot, he wins the game. Well, he's aiming almost 8 feet across the table at this 4-stud by 4-stud flag on top of my tank.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how you eliminate a tank, is using the flags to knock it down, right?
Yeah. And so he had one shot, and this is the shot of a lifetime. The absolute shot of the lifetime, and he knocks it down, not only from across the table, but caddy corner over skyscrapers. And I was like, how did you do that? It's impossible.
A lot of engineering went into that gun and a lot of practice. So.
And yes, yeah. Steven is good at it. And this takes skill. There are people who have played with us that don't have that skill of shooting.
Yep, we have a couple of members. We're not going to mention anyone by name, but there's some people who can't hit the broadside of a barn, and they know it, and they have a great time anyway. But, yeah, Steven is not one of those people.
So I think we're kind of taking a shotgun approach here. We haven't really gotten into the rules or the start, the finish.
We've described all the elements. We've described the fun that is tank battles.
Yeah.
Let's describe how the core of the game works. When you're shooting the guns, you're shooting at targets. Some of the targets are troops, and some of the targets are flags. Mm-hmm. And the reason that is because this tank is not going to go anywhere if you hit it with a bullet. Even a real bullet wouldn't knock the tank over. So we have these flags, and they're attached onto a small. It's a 2x2 modified. I think it's a tile plate. It's a 2x2 modified plate with one stud in the center, and this could be any color. But that has to be on your tank, and you have to have your flagpole fit into that little stud, because it's a hollow stud, and then that is where your flag attaches. Once that flag is knocked over by a bullet, that tank is disabled and destroyed. It has to respawn back at your side of the table, way at the back. And so every turn, you get to move your tanks and then shoot. And so the speed of the tanks is determined by the guns, right? And we'll read the rules in a second. Yeah. Different factors change the speed of your tank, and that's all. When you're building your tank, you have to kind of keep that in mind, right? Yep. So, yeah. And
what's really interesting is we are so competitive with this that we've discovered that the color of that's a jumper. A lot of people call them jumper.
2x2 jumper.
Yeah, 2x2 jumper. The color of the jumper matters. Mm-hmm. As to how well it holds the flag in. Yeah. The color of the flag matters.
Yes, because the transparent elements are more clutch than the standard color, and then the clear ones are the strongest clutch of all. Yeah. So we kind of all agree to use the same colors, right, when we're playing tank battles?
Yeah, so that there's no... You can use any color you want, but you should use the same colors. Yeah. And you could use different pieces, too, as long as everybody has those pieces.
Yeah, or if you know that, like, okay, I'm using a green jumper, and everyone knows, okay, that's fine. Or if I'm using this color flagpole, if everyone's okay with that, but there are a tiny measurable differences between the pieces, so just keep in mind when you're building your tanks and when you're playing, so that nobody gets a little bit of an unfair advantage.
So on top of the bar is the flag, and the flag is a 4x4 plate modified. Mm-hmm. It's got those 4 studs on the side, and then it's got the big tile in the middle, all that flat space, so that we can stick a label. And that's my flag. I made that for the Mandalorians. Mm-hmm. And Mark has his flag. Somebody found one of my flags, my old flags, in the pick-a-brick the other day. It's just got my face on it, and I've got sunglasses on, and they thought it was so funny. They were like, what is this?
That is great. That's a great thing to find in the pick-a-brick,
actually. Hey, that's my old flag.
That's awesome. I don't have any flags with me, but I could maybe, if we find the files later, we can put them on the screen. We'll see. But,
so this tank here, I do have to mention, is called Old Squeaky. Mm-hmm. You can hear it squeak a little bit, but it used to be a lot more pronounced. Yeah. It used to squeak a ton, and I loved it, and everybody else liked it, but they complained about it, they teased me about it. Yeah. And so everybody called it Old Squeaky. And then John took it, and he actually oiled it so that it wouldn't squeak anymore. And I was like, John, you're messing up my tank.
That is hilarious.
I've also got a siege tower here that I've had for quite some time. And the siege tower is pretty cool because it has a linear actuator in the middle, very similar to Steven's pneumatic cannon. Mm-hmm. This has a linear actuator, so it's got a gearbox in there, and you can see the gear moving through the front bottom right there if you're watching on YouTube. and it goes up and down like that, and you got a full range of motion. You've got to be able to aim your tank really high and really low.
Because you could be shooting at troops on the ground, you could be shooting at flags way far away, you need to have a high arc of shot.
So the gear raises and lowers it, and then that linear actuator, I think it's like a $30 piece now. They make a plastic one, and then they make the heavy-duty metal one. I've got a heavy-duty metal one in
So the old school one in there, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then I've decorated it with some Bionicle pieces.
Because they look awesome.
That's a siege tower that I was using for my first army I ever had. And it has kind of gone well with my Mandalorians, and now, you could see King Arthur and his...
Yeah, a very fancy siege tower for attacking.
Yeah, and then for King Arthur, I built a trebuchet... Kind of like a trebuchet. The basket fell off of it here that made it look more like a trebuchet, but I'm able to lift that up and aim that any way I want. And that's got 3 cannons on it, and
extra firepower.
Yeah,
right?
And he's got the Holy Grail on the back of it that he's guarding. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so when we got all these tanks, they have different guns. Do we want to break into the rules and kind of talk about that really quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. So we've got the rules here in front of us. We'll kind of breeze through these and describe what makes a tank, how to choose the battlefield, all that stuff. You want to kind of read over it really quick for us, Chris?
So I typed these rules up the other day, and I'm no rules mastermind. Justin was going to do it for us. He's a big gamer, and he types things up like this. But this is me, and this is as good as I could get.
Before we get to this, if you want to look this up later and skip to the end of the video, look at this timestamp here on the video. Go there, and then the rules will be done reading, and you can finish the video, or you can check back to this later.
Oh, yeah, that's a good tip, Mark.
Yeah.
We're going to put these rules for free on our website under a Tank Battles webpage. We haven't done it yet, but we'll do it by the time this video
Yeah, there should be a link in the description, and it should be on social media at this point.
And then on that page, we'll be selling our cannons and our arrows.
Yeah, so you can do this at home, or you can get these pieces wherever. So.
Yeah, you got to build your own tank.
Yeah.
Or you could use a pre-built Lego set. Actually, we just found this one in the case while we were looking. This is a Jurassic World vehicle, and it actually looks a lot like kind of Steven's whole...
It does. It looks very similar.
...thing there. Yeah, I mean, that's a $25 kit. It comes with 2 figures, and it's got the... they actually put that is one of the new Technic shooters.
And it works very similarly.
It works very similar, but it's not as strong. We just tested it out, and it's close.
Yeah.
But the original shoots about 25% harder.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to use one of those.
There's more velocity on the older pieces that we're using that are still pretty common. So,
yeah. Okay,
right.
So here's the rules. We start out by setting up the game. You choose your battlefield, like we were mentioning a little bit before. So Mark chooses his army, I choose my army, or build your army, and we put them at our starting point. So if we're just playing one-on-one, Mark's starting point is the end of the table.
Like this side of the table, you'd be on that side of the table.
My starting point is this side of the table.
Yep.
Okay. And then, very similar to this at Tactics, we decide how many points we want our armies to be worth.
Yeah, both the foot soldiers and the tanks, right?
So troops, as we're going to call them, are worth 1 point. Okay? So that's 1 point right there. And then a tank with 1 cannon is
Here's an
worth
example of that.
3 points. Okay?
Because it only has 1 shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for each additional cannon, it's worth 3 more points. So this one has 2 cannons. It's worth 6 points. Yeah. So 6 troops would be equal to
1 2-shot cannon.
2-shot tank. Yeah. So you can have up to 4 cannons on your tank, but no more than 4 cannons.
Gotcha.
And for every cannon you have, it subtracts 6 inches from its movement. So we play that a normal troop can move 24 inches. Okay, a tank can move 24 inches. But as soon as you add a cannon to that tank, one cannon, it subtracts 6 inches.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's only able to move 18 inches.
Yeah.
In its turn.
And it keeps reducing the speed at which it moves per turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You add 2 cannons, and it can only move 12 inches.
Mm-hmm.
3 cannons, it can only move 6 inches. Aren't you glad I'm doing this math?
Yeah, exactly.
Have to.
I'm not a math guy, so I'm glad Chris is thinking this up for us. So.
And then if you have 4 cannons on it, it can no longer move.
Yeah.
It's down to 0 movement.
It becomes a fort, basically.
It becomes a fort at your starting line that can't move.
Yeah, it could be a tall tank, but it's not going to move around like the 1, 2, and 3 shot tanks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this is worth, troop is worth 1, and then your tanks are worth 3, 6, 9, or 12 points. So we usually play like 4-on-4. So each single player, and then we play teams.
Yeah.
Each single player, we just kind of make up an arbitrary number.
Like 20 or 40.
Usually it's between 20 to 40, 20, 30, or 40 points. So an example of that would be like 2 tanks with 2 cannons each. Well, yeah, we can just use Steven's tanks here.
So this would be 9. Oop, and the back door fell off.
So you got 6 points. 3 points is 9. And then fill the rest in with troops. So 21 troops, and you got 30 points.
Exactly.
Now mine, I could have all 30 points in tanks and no troops.
Yeah, you have very few troops. Or you can even theoretically have almost all troops and then use those to get on the towers and therefore get enough shots to win.
Exactly.
So. There's some strategy when you're building your tank army.
So everybody, all your entire army starts at your starting line, and then before you decide what your army is going to be, you should have already set up your battlefield. It's fun to have obstacles, towers,
buildings, Lego
things
sets.
to hide behind. Yeah, we go get modular buildings, and then we like to get the turret platforms.
Yes,
and you can kind of you just try to want to get those high in the air, kind of like this one.
And you want to put them in kind of central locations on the map, on the table, so that either side could access them and fight over them.
Yeah, we usually have about, if it's 2-on-2 or 4-on-4, we might have 4 turrets or 6 turrets out there, and we might make one closer to one army, but then you want your other one closer to the other
So it's pretty
army.
Balanced, right?
You want it balanced, yeah. Now, before we get into the different gameplay objectives, there is one thing about troops that I have to mention.
Yeah.
We had a friend that plays with us a lot, Stephen Smith. You know, I won't mention his name, Stephen Smith, but you know who you are. He built a Jawa army, and the Jawas have those short legs. And there was a big noticeable difference in how hard it was to get them to fall over.
They were pretty sturdy little Jawas, yeah.
And then, because the bottom was so heavy, they would fall off of a tower and land on their feet.
Like a cat.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So the rules state that your troops have to be 4 bricks tall at least. They could be taller, but they have to be at least 4 bricks tall, which is the standard height of a Lego minifigure.
With a headgear, right?
Yeah. So you can use the shorter legs, but they have to stand on like a brick or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the next thing you got to do is choose your gameplay objective. So we've set up a lot of the gameplays after first-person shooter games.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first-person shooter, but it was probably in my opinion, the best. It was called James Bond GoldenEye.
Yes.
And I played that so much in college. We would have tournaments. We would have. We took it very seriously.
Yeah, you enjoyed that game immensely.
Yeah, that was on Nintendo 64. And then after that, it went to Perfect Dark. Was the next big game. It was made by the same creators.
Yeah.
And then you've got Halo and Call of Duty and Star Wars
Fortnite
Battlefront.
and all these things.
Yeah, Fortnite. So basically all the first-person shooter video games, you could play almost every single style in tank battles.
Yeah.
So the gameplay objective we like to play the most is the scoring objective. And what you do is, like we talked about, if you knock over a 1-point game piece, you get 1 point. Okay, and you just keep a tally board and you check the check mark.
Yep.
If you knock over a 6-point tank, guess how many points you get?
6 points. Yeah.
Very good. I thought you said you didn't like math.
This is just at my threshold here.
So it's tally points, and it's an easy way to play. And and what's very important is when your tanks and your minifigures get knocked down, you could either eliminate them from the game, or they could respawn.
And you decide on that before you play, but you could either have them continue to come out, or you have to play more carefully because you're not going to get them back.
We enjoy respawning them because it keeps it fair and everybody into the game.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't respawn the figures, certain armies could get wiped out of the game, and then they just have to watch.
Yeah.
And nobody likes doing that. All right.
That would make a shorter game if you are a little more pressed for time, though.
Yeah.
So you could just have an elimination.
So the other way to play is elimination, and it's also very easy in that there's no tallying points. You knock somebody down, they're off the board.
Yeah.
And it's down to the last man standing. So that's a very fun way to play. We usually set time limits, so we'll play and just kind of see how things are going, and if we're having fun, we'll just keep playing and say, okay, 10 o'clock at night, whoever's turn it is, it has to end on whoever didn't start's turn, and then the game's over. At the time limit, and whoever's got the most points win, or whoever has the most points on the board if you're playing elimination style wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Other ways we have played are King of the Hill style.
I remember that.
And we have used the same style of turret. You just take that the turret off, and there's your King of the Hill platform. And at the end of the round, you get points for how many troops you have on that turret.
Correct.
And that was a blast. That was so much fun.
It was very focused and aggressive gameplay because you're trying to remove those figures or get those figures on there, so it was pretty fun.
You know what else I'm remembering is we played Capture the Flag one time.
Yes.
And
or like even Rescue, it was a person was the flag, right?
Correct. So, no. It was not a person. It was a Gungan. It was Jar Jar Binks.
It's a hot take.
Yeah.
Gungans are not people.
They're not.
Yeah, they're aliens. Yeah,
they're humanoid.
Yeah,
I guess, right? Are they humanoid?
Yeah, that'd be humanoid alien, right?
Yeah, they got two eyes,
kind
two
of like
arms, two legs. Yeah, and they talk.
Yeah,
so
okay.
they're I guess they're humanoid, but so you had to capture Jar Jar Binks from the middle and get him back to your base without him getting knocked over.
Yeah,
or the other team capturing.
So you had to move it like a troop type per turn and try and shield him and
That was so much fun. That was a really good game. So there's those gameplay objectives. We almost always play elimination or tally.
It's almost usually the score seems to be the longest lasting. Everyone's involved, but there's multiple ways you can do it.
The last time we played, we did the tally points and then we did elimination and all in the same night, and that was fun too.
Oh yeah,
that was a cool way to play. So then the let's see, the scoring objective.
We talked about the scoring.
We talked about that. Elimination, length of gameplay. Wow, we're doing pretty good.
We just kind of
all right, we're on page 2 of the instructions. There's 4 pages total. 3.5. Movement.
Yeah.
All right, we kind of covered movement a little bit. Your troops get to move 24 inches.
Standard.
Yeah, and then your tanks are 24 inches minus 6 inches for every cannon they have. So we already did talk about that. What's also very important is during the movement phase, you move and then you attack.
Yeah.
So if it's Mark's turn and he's playing me,
move all my stuff, and I get them all in place, and then I use my shooting, or my soldiers will roll the dice to see if they can take out the other soldiers.
Yeah, which we call a skirmish.
Yeah.
And you can choose, as the attacker, you can choose if you want to skirmish first or shoot your cannons first.
And there might be a tactical advantage to shooting first, then skirmishing, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, one tactical advantage could be if you take a tower, a turret, a neutral turret, from another player, then you can shoot it after you skirmish.
Exactly. So if your soldiers take over one of these towers with a gun on it, then you can use that in your shooting phase if you haven't done that first.
Yeah.
So if you use it, do that second. So.
And so this tower that we have here, the turret tower, is in the air. The way we play is if you can touch the base of the tower in a turn, then you can take
You're
that
on the
tower
top of the tower,
and go to it. But I think we also have played ways where if you touch the base, you have to wait a turn to move up.
It had like a halfway point platform and stuff like that too, which was.
And then you can get shot off the platform, but in the end, it just added more rules.
It was a little more more complexity we didn't really need. So
a lot of people like those rules. So if you look at the really popular tabletop game by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
What is it?
Warhammer. Yeah.
Yes, Warhammer and Warhammer 40K. Then those are so rules heavy, in my opinion.
So in depth, a little too much for us.
That it's not.
Yeah.
It makes it not as much fun because we're just casual players.
Yeah.
And we're just here to have fun and shoot things.
Yeah. We try and keep it pretty flexible and not easy enough to remember offhand versus like having to refer to the rule book too often. So.
Yeah. So in the movement, it is handy to have rulers.
Yes.
Available so that you
have
can.
any
And
here.
rulers are cheap. You can get them at the dollar store, but it's good to have rulers so you can move. All right. And usually, so if they move 12 inches, it's front wheels to front wheels.
Yeah. And we have it so that our landscape, our table, is covered in base plates that are 12 inches long. So that expedites the process a lot for a lot of us, but not everyone has that advantage, so rulers are a very simple way to make sure it's the right
In fact, those base plates are non-Lego base plates.
Yes.
And they just happen to be 12 inches long, so it makes it easy for us to play with those base plates.
Yeah.
The game pieces, we talked about them having to be 4 bricks tall. As far as the tanks go, 12 inches long is the max, 6 inches wide is the max. And the reason for that is we had somebody use a diesel knot. Every time we play, somebody's not going to have tanks, and they'll just take one of our models or one of their models from home and stick a turret on it.
Which works great in most cases.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So he used the diesel knot from Ninjago, and it is
epic, but it's too big.
18 inches long.
Yeah, it's a large set.
And it just happened to be in the game we were playing Capture the Flag, and he hid Jar Jar Binks behind his tank,
which was like a wall,
and his entire troop army, and it just was not fair.
Yeah. And it was hard to move a vehicle that large through any sort of obstruction, like buildings or landscaping. So keeping it to a reasonable size, like these guys are nicely sized, your tanks are pretty nicely sized. Old Squeaky's a little long, but not bad. It still fits.
Yeah.
So, if we could keep it within those size guidelines, it all works a lot better. So.
Then the other rules are that your shooting turret cannot be any more than 12 inches high, which is about this high.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't bring attention to it, but Old Squeaky does go a little bit above 12 inches. I would say, I don't have a ruler with me, but I would say that's
foot and 6 inches, maybe
18 inches, maybe. Yeah. So when I shoot it, it's usually like this, just to be
a little more relaxed stance. Yeah.
And when you do shoot your tank, you can move it 360, but
rotate
you cannot lift it up off the table.
Yeah.
So it's important to have guns that are posable up and down.
Exactly. You want to be able to get the right angle for long distance or up high targets. So.
Yeah. Let's see, there's another rule about that. The flag goes on the tank, and it has to be visible on all sides. So after Steven shoots this, he has to do what Mark just did and lower the gun turret so that it's not blocking the flag.
Exactly.
And even that spot there is not completely open.
Yeah.
So the best spot for a flag here would probably be right up here.
And that being said, like this gun, for example, is much higher, and this could easily block a flag that was placed on the back. So you want to make sure, I think there's a spot here.
Yeah.
And if that flag, that is completely obstructed from the view of the camera, so you want to make sure that this gun is lowered down. I don't know if I can with it's locked like this. Anyway, you have to make sure that the gun is out of the way so that it's fair when the other team is shooting.
Yeah.
And they can request, hey, I need you to move that gun so that it's visible. And then you have to comply, make sure that they could fairly take a shot at your tank. So.
Also, your opponent can ask that you move your flag and face them so they do have a clear shot.
Yeah.
And it's good for you to do this, too, because as you're playing, this gets loose in here.
Yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity to press down on it, make sure it's in there.
You want to make sure your flag is in there firmly at all times.
Yeah.
And turning it towards your opponent gives you a chance to make sure that is as tight as it's going to be and it's fair. So
you're right. And then I felt like there was one more rule. Oh yeah, people like to camp.
Yes.
So, and this goes on in lots of video games and stuff like that. But in tank battles, it just doesn't work. So, when I say camp, that means they hide their tank behind a building.
Yeah, like we'll use the dice tower as an example.
Yeah, and we'll use old Squeaky here. So they have a gun turret. Their gun cannon hides. And where's the flag? Put the flag up there. And so now see how it's kind of hiding behind that building.
Pretty well
obscured. If it were taller, you wouldn't be able to see my flag. Yet, when it's my turn, I can just lift up and shoot over it. And then we had another friend that used to play with us, Will Myers, who would put it on a string and just put it out to the side, shoot, and then hide back behind the building again.
That we want to discourage, for sure.
Yeah, that's not fair. So if old Squeaky's hiding behind a building and he's going to shoot, then that needs to either stay up so that it's visible for them.
You have a very legal
hide.
place for your flag, so that even if you are behind a building, it's still fair. So,
at the end of the day, that flag has to be completely visible and unobstructed from the other team. Now, if there's a big building that just happens to be in the way of the flag or something like that, because you're shooting at an angle or
then it's out of view. Too bad.
Then there's no problem with that.
But if you're really intentionally hiding behind an object with your tank, that's not good, and you need to address that. So
it just has to be fair.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun camping.
You want to be good sportsmanship. Yeah.
So in the shooting world, we call it a target-rich environment. When I go to the shooting range, I don't like just shooting at one little target. I like having tons of targets everywhere. And with tank battles, it's the same thing.
You want to be lots of shots to shoot at.
Lots of choices, yeah. So each cannon only gets one shot per turn. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the movement. We've talked about the game pieces. In the rules, I did name the Lego part number and everything of the flags, the jumpers, and the bars that are on there. And like we said, you could use anything you have or want as long as they're
agreed
all the
upon.
same, agreed upon. But if you're going to be playing with us at our location or to the location of our choice, you're going to use our house rules.
Yeah.
And house rules apply.
And we almost always have enough material, such as flagpoles, flags, guns, bullets, everything like that, for our uses and our events. So, yeah.
You know, this is a lot like the game of spades. I've played the card game Spades all over the country.
Yeah.
And everywhere you go, it's totally different. They all play, everybody plays by different rules. Whoever's house it is, you play by their rules.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about the neutral turrets. The 16x16 plates work really well because you can put as many troops as you can on there.
It's a uniform size. That's a common piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, taking a turn, we have not really talked about this. We touched on it a little bit. So Mark was saying before that he moves his pieces the legal amount. You don't have to move your pieces, but he moves them as much as he wants. He could move them back. He could move them sideways, whatever. And then after he's done all his movements, then he starts attacking. He can't. If he starts attacking, he can't go back and move game pieces.
Yeah.
So he can also take his flag down in order to shoot his cannon, and then he has to put his flag right back up.
Yeah.
So then you take your attacks. You decide if you're going to do skirmishes first or shoot the cannons, and then you're done, and then it's the next player's turn.
Yep. And there could be multiple players on one team that all go in order, and then it's the other team's turn, and those players could go in order. So what Mark said, we'll usually play 2-on-2, and we'll just go like clockwise. Yeah.
And so it'll be my partner's turn, then me, then Mark's turn, then his partner's turn, and then it comes back around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, to make things fair, quite often whoever goes first gets to the turrets first and can use them first.
Yeah.
So we've added a rule, and we don't always play by this rule, but it seems to balance things out a little bit.
Yeah.
to avoid going first advantage
Mm-hmm.
is that if you go first, you move
Mm-hmm.
and you don't attack.
Yeah, it's just a movement turn for the first turn.
And then you finish the game by getting one last attack. You don't get to move,
Mm-hmm.
you only attack.
So that initial attack is actually like delayed till the end of the game, basically.
And that really wouldn't work in an elimination game,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be fine in a tally point where you're respawning your
The
game
way we
pieces.
usually play, that little sub-rule of sorts really works well for the balancing of fun. So, yeah.
Let's see. Final notes I've got here. We've played many different ways. We've modified the rules many times. No matter what we do, it's always fun.
Yeah.
We've added frag grenades where we had frag grenades so that troops could take out tanks. As it is now, we didn't mention this. Troops really cannot take out a tank.
No.
And that's pretty practical. I mean, they just can't.
Normally, without specialized weapons, a foot soldier isn't going to take out an armored vehicle. So it makes sense for the way we play. So.
We've added cannons to troops. We've added aiming cannons to troops. We've done all kinds of things. And every time it's been fun.
But not quite as easy and original as the first method that we're describing in the rules here.
We find that simpler the better. The most fun thing about tank battles is shooting these cannons.
Yeah. At other tanks and troops and anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So we eliminate all the other minutia so that we can shoot more cannons.
Exactly.
So the more cannons you have, the better.
Exactly. Yeah, more cannons the better.
That's why we have turrets and stuff like that. Talking about shooting cannons, I'm a pretty good shot, which is why I like to use the freehand old squeaky, where I can kind of aim it myself.
A lot of manual physical control. Yes.
And shooting goes back generations in my family.
Yes.
So my dad ran a rifle range in Fort Dix, New Jersey for the Army, and he was a lieutenant, and he trained troops to go off to the Vietnam War.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got lots of stories from that. But so when I was a kid, I was the youngest of three brothers. We were all 2 years apart. He got us shooting at a really early age, and we shot competitively for the Maryland State Rifle Team.
Yeah.
Started out with BB guns, then it went to pellet, then it went to .22.
Yeah.
And we would quite often go to international BB gun tournaments in different states. We were from Maryland. If we made the state championship and won the state championship, we represented the state at the international BB gun tournament.
Yeah.
And we would the furthest I went was Bowling Green, Kentucky. But my oldest brother, actually got to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma one time, and he won the gold medal.
Wow.
For the whole world
Yeah.
in standing, which was kind of a big deal. And standing is the hardest position to shoot, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So shooting is in my blood, and these are safe, and fun, and easy.
Anyone could do it.
And anybody can do it. And I've never thought of it, but we've never even thought to use glasses.
Or eye protection or anything,
protection. But if you are worried about that kind of thing, you could throw a simple pair of glasses.
They have little safety glasses that are
on.
easy, yes.
These are rubber tip bullets, and I think in the Lego catalog, there's it says don't shoot anyone in their eye.
Yeah. And we're not shooting at people, we're shooting at a stationary object. So that's
Correct.
important to note. But
That's very important to know.
yes.
Yeah.
So, we've never had any issues. In fact, bullets, I think occasionally it'll skim off the table and bump into someone's chest area maybe,
Yeah.
but never anything more than that. So, because we're all seated at the table usually, or standing nearby. So.
We don't have much space here, Mark, but I think it would only be appropriate if we ended this with you and I having a quick competition here.
Like a one-turn example, right? Yeah. Okay, let's do that. All right, so I'm going to use Steven's tanks here. Chris, I think you're going to want to use one of yours over there. Here's some of your troop types. There, yeah.
You know what? We've been talking about Old Squeaky, but I'm going to use the Siege tank.
There we go. And I'm going to use Steven's dialed-in one-shot tank here. Let's see if I'm able to shoot a flag. I'm going to need to borrow a flag from you as well.
Okay.
Do you have another one over there?
Yeah,
Perfect.
There's one with
There
my
we go.
logo on it. Let me make sure my flag is in nice and tight. You can hit the flags and they don't fall off sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the bullet will just ricochet right off.
Yeah,
So.
it's really fun watching what these bullets will do. Sometimes we've hit 2 tanks in one shot before.
Yes, that was legendary.
Multiple minifigures. We've knocked. In fact, the last time we played, the last shot of the game, knocked a minifigure off of a tower.
Mm-hmm.
The minifigure fell and knocked the tank flag down.
Yep.
And it's just amazing.
And that counts, right?
It's so cool, yeah.
All right, so I've got my tank here, and you're gonna drive yours forward first, right? So you got a foot of movement. Take a shot.
Well, so you only have 1 cannon.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and let you go first. And
Okay.
if you miss, which you should not miss because we're really close here, then I'll go and I'll get my 2 shots.
Let me get the right angle here. I'm gonna be out of the screen, but you get the idea. And these pneumatics are pretty good. Oop, it's a little too high, I think. There you go. And
Okay, he got it.
There's the
He got
tank.
it. So mark 1. All right.
Yeah.
That's the advantage of going first.
It is.
Right.
And that pneumatics help for that. And you have a very similar situation with your linear actuator here.
Yeah.
That'll allow you very precise control. And look, I'm going to be a good sport and move the turret out of the way.
Oh, well,
And
thank you,
turn
Mark.
that flag and make sure it's nice firm in there.
It's interesting aiming these because you don't aim it right at it.
You want to aim it a little above because it's got that arc to it.
Depending on how far away you are, you have to aim higher.
Exactly.
So I will shoot 2 in case I miss the first one.
His tank has 2 shots, so he's got another
Yeah.
opportunity to shoot if he misses. So. Oh, a little
And
too
I
high.
think that went a little high.
We are pretty close, even for normal tank
Yeah,
battles.
so I'm gonna lower my cannon here, and oh, that's embarrassing. Jeez, I miss.
Oh!
And I missed with my second shot.
Well, it
and here we are
definitely
right in front of
skimmed,
each other.
so it was
Yeah.
close. So yeah.
Okay, so it is, and it being challenging is what makes it fun.
Yes.
So
It doesn't hit it every time, but sometimes it'll just like you see a little vibration as skim
Yeah.
by, so it's pretty fun. And we'll often film in slow mo, and we'll maybe
yeah,
have some footage of that someday. But
we'll try to. We have like 6 years worth of footage.
yeah.
We've gotten a lot of slow mo shots. Slow mo shots look cool.
And we'll be recording Tank Battles events in the future live on this YouTube channel, and we'll advertise that ahead of time so that people are able to tune in.
So this is going to air on Friday the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
On Tuesday the 15th, we're going to live stream, so not next week,
Yeah.
but the week after that, we will live stream Tank Battles and in the store, and it's probably going to be like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, at least. It's usually a 2-3 hour event. So,
Yeah, so get your popcorn and feel free to tune in and watch a little bit if you want to.
And we'll eventually have lots of things you could do on our website related to Tank Battles. Some of that should be up already, as this video is already aired.
Yeah,
So-
we're going to put the rules on for free on our website, and then we'll sell dimension stands and arrows and the Technic cannons. And if you guys have any questions about it, of course you can ask during the live stream.
It's a
Of
great
Tank
time to do
Battles.
it. Also, you
Yeah.
can email us and our website and phone number. And everything.
We enjoy playing this, so we have big plans for the future.
Yeah.
We did have a huge Tank Battles game at Brick Fair, Alabama. 3 or 4 years ago?
A couple years ago, but we had a bunch of people just sign up and show up.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty fun. So.
And that was just for fun. But what we want to do is set up annual tournaments at Brick Fair, Virginia, Alabama, and Brick World Chicago.
Yeah.
At the Lego fan events.
So people could show up and then
Yeah.
participate in these tournaments for
and
fun.
then, of course, Atlanta Brick Con as well.
Yeah.
Which is here in Atlanta. So
Very cool. Well, thanks for watching, guys. We sure appreciate you hanging with us and enjoying all things Tank Battles. Definitely hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons if you like this kind of content. You want to see more of it. It really helps out the channel. We sure appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week with live streams and more videos here at Atlanta Brick Co. TV.